Yeah. Hey, sir. GM.
GM. Yeah, just give me a minute here. I'm just getting set up, and as soon as I got my laptop set up here, we'll get right into it. Just give me one
Cool,
sec.
man. Yeah, very early for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, just open up the DAO form. And we should be able to screen share as well. That'll be cool. This will be our first DAO call with the screen share, I think. Give a quick update on the Ethereum situation here. I was just checking the Ghost, and yesterday we were at 67% of Ghost on the Polygon bridge. And right now we are 65.2%. So we've made a little bit of progress. Just a reminder, we'll be having that vote just 3 days from now, not even 72 hours. So we're going to be checking this balance and making sure that we are close to have enough to meet quorum. I think we will. So just another final reminder. I'm sure I'll say it again. If you haven't already, you can bridge your Ghost back to Ethereum, and you'll be getting 100 XP for all of your gotchis on Polygon for voting in this vote, per vote. So a total of 200 XP. Challenging to navigate VP with multiple expected props about to go up. Yeah, very, very true. Someone was asking about the current one on Snapshot that did actually just end. So there was an issue on Snapshot with the new wearables, and basically any wallet that had one of the new wearables was not being counted in voting power because the script that was written for calculating voting power, it had all of the IDs and the Ghost price hard coded into the code. So we're going to work on not getting it hard coded, but that's going to take a little longer. So for now, I made a PR and I added all the new IDs of the new wearables and their Ghost equivalent price. And I made a PR to Snapshot today. So hopefully they'll get that merged pretty soon. And the question is, once that PR is merged, is the voting power going to change? And I'm not sure. I think it might, but I'm not totally sure. So we will have to see. Hopefully it will. But yeah, the good news is once you've voted on Aragon and both of the votes are done, you can just bridge your Ghost right back to Ethereum or to a Polygon from Ethereum. We won't have any more on-chain votes on Aragon, probably ever. That'll be probably pretty much the end of the curve. So that'll be kind of cool. No more bridging. The final bridge. Until we get to the Gotchi chain, of course. Then we get to bridge. But those will be very cheap bridging.
Okay, I think I'm set up here. Let me just.
All right, cool. Are you guys? It's Gotchi Lodge closing down today. Are you guys heading back?
Yeah. Today we're shutting down. We're basically packing up all our things after this and leaving. So it's gonna be a bit sad for sure. We've kind of we really got to know each other this last couple weeks. So
Almost feels like when you go to summer camp and you make a bunch of friends and then you have to go home after summer camp.
yeah, exactly. But we're really how well everything went, like how we did and everything. So we'll definitely be looking at maybe going to the next conference, maybe Consensus or NFT NYC, and rep the Gotcha gang.
Yeah, when is NFT NYC? Is that also summer?
April.
April. Okay, that's pretty close then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty soon. There's a couple of them coming up, and they're all kind of very close together. So, yeah. Okay, we got a Miro board there from Hardcore. Thank you. And I'll screen share this here in a second. Okay, let me share this. Okay, you guys should be able to see that.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Yeah, that's cool. We can do that right in the chat. So, okay, sharing the screen here. Let's look at our outcomes. Let's start with that. So we got two props here that didn't pass. Um, Securing protocol rewards, operational and funding request. And that one did not make quorum. 7.6 million. I did not.
Yeah, we're gonna see because it actually should have made quorum because the voting power was calculated incorrectly by Snapshot due to this forge issue. So let's see what happens when the PR gets passed by Snapshot. The voting power might go back up.
Okay. So that one may pass. Um, okay. The forged contract and 6-month roadmap. That one did not pass. It did meet quorum, but they were, let's see, did not get the. I think it didn't meet the differential, right? The 10%.
Yeah, it's 53.4 to 46. So that's like a 7% differential, 7 or 8%. Needed 10%.
So that one didn't meet the differential. All right. AGIP 67 curve transition plan, curve transition team. That one has passed in meeting quorum, and this is a proposal for 10,000 Ghost, setting up the transition team to um, liquidity and yeah, just manage some of the unlocked treasury there. Strategy roadmap. So I wonder if Bin Laden in the house. Maybe you want to talk about Strategachi, discuss the budget, your vision for the game. Otherwise, I can run through it a little bit here. Okay. If Lagan's in the house, you can put your hand up. I'll get you up here, but I'll run through this real quick just to give people an idea. Yeah, okay. Seeing hardcore's typing. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll come back around to it. If Lagan shows up, we'll get him back on the call here. Chemica and Glitter Economic Task Force. Maybe if there are some members who want to be on this, who are going to be part of this, definitely put your hand up. We'll get you up here. that I'll run through this year. And so the problem here is basically regarding tokenomic changes and the DAO's responsibility to do so. And yeah, I mean, I think managing tokenomics of the game are a collaborative effort between the DAO and Pixelcraft. I think that's what we've seen. But we have to make sure that we are staying on top of it and that, there is someone that has some level of accountability, or maybe even a group of people who have accountability to managing healthy alchemic and glitter economy in the game. So the problem here is explained. So proposals and counter proposals from individuals can be rushed, poorly written, and sometimes chaotic. With counter proposals contradicting one another, it could be causing some confusion. And so the solution here, the proposed solution, is to create a task force of 8 members from different parts of the community. They might have different types and sizes of holdings and different political viewpoints. But the whole idea would be to have a diverse group here, and their responsibility will be researching tokenomics, identifying problems or possible improvements, and keep generating proposals to put a vote in the water DAO. So each member will be compensated to keep them accountable and to make sure the DAO is always working to improve our tokenomics. Check the chat here.
Is there any budget requested for this group?
I believe there is. Yeah. Let me see here. Let's go to the main top. Yeah, I don't see any. I don't see any specific amount. But if someone knows how much they're asking for, let's go to the main post here. Definitely come up on stage, or join the chat. Yeah, it looks like there's no. Okay, here we go. 4,500 goes to month. 4.5 goes to 4.5 goes. So 4,000 goes a month for 8 members. Putting in 5 hours a week. So that's what they're asking. 4.5 thousand goes a month, split between 8 members.
Is that there's been a kind of a conversation recently about valuing things in ghost, one ghost equals one ghost, or for these kind of proposals, is this do they want to take one ghost like as a flat fee, or is it denominated in like USD, like some of the other proposals have been doing recently? This is one ghost equals one ghost. Okay. Makes sense because I guess it's not a huge amount compared to the other proposals.
Yeah, I think once you start getting into the bigger amounts, the fiat ask seems to be a big part of the question.
Yeah, I think it's
yeah. Looks like the team here 1, 2, 6. Looks like 6 members, so it looks like there's room for 2 more members as part of this. As part of this group. Yeah. So possibly you could use 2 more members here.
And I saw a new post from Gotchinomics, who's part of that group. I don't know if we want to go over that or not. The excavators. If Gotchinomics is around, maybe he could talk about it.
Yeah. Dr. Weggy has a good question regarding the Alchemica and Glitter Economics Force. Do we think 40 hours a week of work to do from an Alchemica? Sorry. Do we think we have 40 hours a week, uh, 40 hours per week of work to do uh, on this, on Alchemica Economics? I don't know. Um, yeah, yeah, I guess that's something we would want to know in the proposal. Um, what are the specific things?
What are some of the deliverables, or is this more like a think tank?
It seems to me like more of a think tank. Okay.
Weekly public voice meeting to present research, ideas, provide feedback, and vote. Ideation, research, Discord public collaboration, writing proposals. So this is not implementation. It's or providing like dashboards or anything. It's just kind of I guess research could include dashboards or statistics analyses. Be good if
Yeah,
those were publicized.
informative.
I know
Yeah,
with I guess the most similar one would be the Friends Task Force, which started off. It actually had a pretty good start with I think it was Jared who made like a really nice dashboard for the Friends, but ultimately we ran into the idea to the blocker of the staking subgraph literally just not being able to stay synced. It was just too slow, so we never knew how many friends we had in circulation. That was kind of a big issue. So it shouldn't have that issue with this. Um, but I'm curious what some of the research would be. What do they think is necessary to research? What would some of those reports look like?
I think sinks would be a big part of it. Like, where should this Alchemica be sunk or burned or locked up in one way or another? Transistor saying payment in Ghost is okay, but on USD terms and converted at the time of payment. I agree. But at the same time, I think calculating payment and fiat cost, we should be mindful of like the hourly rate of how much we're paying people. So yeah, I agree. It could be a way to pay people, but I also think people getting paid by in Ghost today. Like I personally take the payment in Ghost today as a bet on the future of our project here. You know, I'm okay taking a little less Ghost because I know you know I'm bullish on our project, and I know that those tokens will be worth more in the future. And so, if I was to get paid in fiat, I would just look at my rate instead of just saying, well, this amount of Ghost would be, you know, uh, I think people are okay taking less Ghost, basically, if they're getting paid in Ghost. If it's fiat, then then we should make sure that they're getting paid at the just an appropriate rate, because for a while, one Ghost was $1 or pretty close. Um, but we moved away from that pretty quickly, so we should definitely have that conversation, because it does add like a significant amount of fiat to your proposal when the token goes up, 30, 40%. So it's cool. It's cool that this is doing that. Um, bullish, definitely bullish. But we should think about the pay scale here and how we want to push people for the work that they do.
Yeah, it does seem like if Ghost goes to $10 at some point, and they're still being they're earning 25 ghosts an hour for the same work. That could seem a bit
High.
like we might need to reconfigure that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
This task force is only supposed to last a month. Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, the proposal says 4,500 ghosts a month.
Yeah. Doesn't seem
So
like
I
it's
think
is that in the proposal where it said that? Mark said that?
I don't think so, but it implies that it's going to be every month. Let me look here. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. So okay. So what do we think? Do we think we need a alchemic and economics task force to be on like evergreen, like they're continuously getting paid by the DAO, or do we think that this proposal should be more of a lump sum that gets paid out one time for doing this research and reporting back? I mean, maybe this is the Alchemic and Glitter Economics Task Force. These are the voted in members, but the work that they take on would be on a bounty basis. Because I just don't know. They might have to specify, but I don't know like what what is what are the specific like day-to-day things that will require 5 hours of work per person across 8 people. 5 hours a week, sorry. So it might be like 30 minutes to an hour a day over 8 members. What kind of work do we see people doing in that time? Aside from, the the some of the deliverables they did kind of mention here um in the proposal. Yeah, actually there are no deliverables in this proposal, actually. So that would be something to specify, and actually like list what these people are going to be doing under each subset. So ideation, under research. Just need more specifics on that. Context.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more specifics about what some of the research that they're planning to do and any deliverables or reports. I mean, I understand like if making a report or making a proposal these days does take a lot of time, and there's a lot, especially if it's controversial at all. So totally understand why community members that are going to be contributing a lot of time to these proposals would want to be compensated for it. That we've gone over that many times, so totally support that. But I'd love to know what they're actually going to be, besides just ideating things. What are they going to be delivering with this task force?
Yeah, I know Dr. Wagme here says they want to implement a buyback strategy. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think that should be specified. Like, what is that buyback strategy? Um,
Oh, he's talking about
and
something else. Sorry, he's
oh,
talking about the
okay,
securing protocol rewards, operational and funding requests, because it didn't pass really due to a bug on the snapshot proposal, and so they're just talking about whether or not we should just consider it as having reached quorum because the vault did vote for it, and the vault is missing roughly 2 million ghosts of voting power, and
And
It's
they would have voted for it, right? I'm
they
assuming
voted for it. They did vote
yeah,
for it.
obviously.
It's just the top one of their wallets is missing 2 million ghost worth of voting power because
Hmm.
the Aavegotchis were not counted. So 2 million would put it at quorum because then it would be 9.6. So I think there's a strong case there that it should just be considered as having reached quorum because only one wallet is a lot of wallets are missing voting power, but just the vault alone with enough voting power would have had it reach quorum. So yeah, I think it makes sense. I think that in the past there has been one vote also where there was like a bug on Snapshot, and we considered it as passing. Can't quite remember though.
Yeah, I remember there was something like that a while ago.
There was also one where the ATF, I think the vault forgot to vote on theirs and it didn't pass.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit different. But I think there was one vote where it really just was because Snapshot was bugged, so we counted it.
Right. I see Yannick putting in the chat here. A monthly economics report could be one of the deliverables. That'd be so. Yeah, it would be good to have a even maybe a dashboard like that we could access. That would be updated. I think that would be that'd be solid. That'd be a solid deliverable. Um, yeah. Regarding what you said, Dan, with the missing VP, at least it wasn't a core prop. Makes sense to advance to sig prop and then have core prop vote with snapshot fixed. Okay. Hmm. I'm just reading the comments here. Curly fries seems like whenever possible we should just revote. But however, also saying that the urgency argument with this one makes sense with the curve transition team. Yeah. All right. Do we have lagging in the house? Is lagging in here? Let's see. Lagging, if you're in the room, come on stage here and oh yeah. I don't see you in the chat for some reason. I'll get you up here. Put your hand up and I'll get you up. There we go. Yo, GM. Hello? Can you hear us?
Shit. I was muted. Hey guys. GM.
Hey, GM, how are you?
Good, man.
Right on. I thought we could maybe talk about your Strategachi game a little bit and maybe talk about budget as well. Yeah, maybe you could start by giving us an update on kind of where you guys are at with the project and you know maybe go through the budget a little bit as well.
Sure, sounds good. Well, as I just released the roadmap, you guys can see we're pretty much at the end of phase 2, planning phase, and we're ready to start building pretty much. We're just waiting on community feedback on our proposed budget, and yeah, we're ready to get a sig prop going if the community is in favor. I'll drop a link to the proposal. Second. If you guys want to take a look and get a discussion going around this, the roadmap is there and the budget is there. Basically, we laid out the plan for the proposed budget, it's everything that's everything from stage 1 to stage 4 is covered basically. And then we have a fifth stage, an expansion stage, which consists of like future plans and things that we want to do after the successful launch of the game. Different ways to push it forward, creating new maps, new game modes, the physical board game collab with Pixelcraft, season 2 guild cards, and yeah, a couple other cool things basically that we have lined up. Hello?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, sorry.
Yep,
I'm
we're here.
looking. Yeah, I'm just
Sorry.
looking at the. I'm looking at the roadmap here, on the Miro board. I'm looking at your kind of roadmap where you guys at. So yeah, you're working on the game design, or you have the board game MVP. Have we done any community testing up until this point? Has anybody in the community got a chance to play this game? Kind of provide feedback?
Yeah,
Or is
we
it
have
still?
we had a group about 14 people total, but the core group who really played a lot and went back and forth was a little bit smaller than that. But yeah, we tested it out in my private Discord server, and that's how it happened. Basically, we sent open invitations to the community to join, and through Twitter and Discord, basically whoever was interested kind of contacted me, and we put them in a group. And that's how we started. We just started playing the game on my Discord server in a really low tech way. Like people were DMing me their moves and stuff like that. But we figured out a way to do it where it was pretty smooth. And yeah, we were able to like try out different mechanics and smooth things out and balance things out. So we're at a point where we're really confident that the game is playable and it's fun and it's balanced. And we just want to we're excited to get this digital MVP out so that the community could have more access to it, because the way that we were doing it initially was a little bit difficult for everybody to join in, basically. Time restrictions, and then like we all had to be there while like the game master was like controlling everything and stuff like that. So yeah, we really just want to get this digital MVP out and then have the community like play it even more, and then I'm sure we'll figure out how to like iron it out even further.
So, you're past stage 2, which is the planning stage. Have you assembled a team? Like, do you have, the lead dev, junior dev? Like, do you have all these spots filled?
Most of them.
Just trying to
Most of them.
which ones are still kind of like, you haven't found anybody, or you're not sure, if you're going to actually have this person on the team. Are there
Right.
specific positions?
Well, most of the main positions are filled, and they're filled with gotchi gangers. There's only a few positions that are going to be outsourced, and those are the junior dev, as well as a few of the from the design side, like the graphic designer. It's written art director in the thing, but it should say graphic designer. Animator and illustrator. Illustrator, it will actually most likely that role will be split amongst different people, so it will be a bunch of illustrators. Those will be outsourced by the team leaders, basically. So myself and Shah. And then we have the two other members are Stellar Hobbs and Face, who will be taking care of UI, and Face will be doing music production and project management.
Okay, now something with Shaw that came up within the ETF recently, and I don't mean to make this personal, but he is a problem. There was a problem with him being on the multi-sig because he's part of a sanctioned country, and so the DAO actually can't pay him for that reason. That actually became it became a conflict that he even acknowledged himself. So I wonder, I think it might be challenging for the DAO to actually pay Shaw specifically, or anybody who is in a sanctioned country. That is a conversation we should have. But I'm just pointing that out now that you mentioned Shaw. I think it's going to be challenging for the DAO to actually compensate him because of those the legal boundaries.
Is he KYC'd though?
I don't think he might be, but
I think that was only like an issue with being on a multi-sig, right? Because you needed to be KYC'd. I think so. I mean, at least.
Technically, if the DAO is sending funds to people, it's if we, I mean, if people know he is a member of a sanctioned country, it's like you can't really unknow that. It's just not kind of like not ideal to be sending funds to, people of sanctioned countries that when we knowingly already know that he is, it's tricky.
Right, right. I mean, I'm not sure about these details, but I'm sure there's ways around it. And also, I mean, I've been in talks with him, and he was considering actually getting out of there if he can, especially to work on this project because just so to make sure everything goes smooth because they're having some issues there right now politically. But yeah, I'm sure these details can be ironed out some way. I have to look into that.
Yeah, I think we should just make sure we like verify those things before we actually like give out any money. We got to make sure that the DAO or the DAO Foundation aren't, make sure that they're not getting themselves into a position that would
Mhm.
put them or the DAO at risk. That's the only thing there. And I think we should definitely make sure we clear that up before we.
What if it
Um,
was like a situation where it was the DAO was funding the project manager or the LLC or whatever the group that we create for this game, and then the development would be subcontracted out, like it would be, you get it, so that he wouldn't have anything to do with receiving the DAO funds. It would be just like me hiring any other like graphic designer or something. The internet.
Yeah,
Could something
probably
like that work?
that'd probably be better if there's like an LLC involved. That would probably be better.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure that something like that we could easily do.
okay, yeah. The other question here I have is, you guys have your request here for, and this is a conversation we've been having on our end, like as well, because we had to put funding together for our conference. Um, the hourly rates here in Ghost. Have you taken it into account the like increase in Ghost price? Because I mean, uh, some of these rates actually to me seem a little bit high if you take into account the fiat cost, like hourly fiat rate. But like, I guess how did you guys get to these numbers, hourly Ghost rates? You just talk to the each individual person, or like, yeah, how did you guys get to the hourly Ghost rates for this proposal?
Right. Well, we did research basically on what the standard rates are for these types of positions, and we converted it from USD to Ghost basically. So these prices represent like USD equivalent of Ghost today.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is this the USD price in Ghost today or like 3 weeks ago, right? Because it's gone up significantly in that time. I'm reading what Coder Dan said here. Should we just make a sig prop that all Ghost payment going forward should be denominated in USD, but paying Ghost at the current price? Yep. As long as we're okay with people, valuing their work in USDC and not, I think something that's happened with Ghost is people say, well, I'm okay taking 100 Ghosts because I know I'm bullish on the project, the price will go up. That'll stop happening. And so as long as we're okay with that, people will just, they will list their hourly rate, what their work is worth, and we'll just pay out in Ghost. I mean,
Yeah, it
that'll be
makes
fine.
sense. Makes sense, especially with a project like this where it's like the payments. So there's like there's going to be quite a decent time span between the payments. So yeah, I guess that does make sense to do it in USD equivalent so that we know what we're getting and what the
Yeah,
DAO is
Coder
paying.
Dan. Yeah, still a good way to stack Ghost. Yeah, I
Yeah, we
agree.
do that with our Pixelcraft employees. I mean, some of them prefer Die, some of them prefer Ghost, and for the ones that
Yeah.
do prefer Ghost, it's generally paid in denominated in USD at the time of payment. So it's a bit more accounting and stuff to do, but it's we don't want to tie it to a certain value of Ghost at any point because then it becomes kind of unpredictable.
Right, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so then we got the planning phase covered there. Then yeah, the digital MVP. So this digital MVP, what can you guys can you maybe give us an idea of like what this MVP is going to include? What's that experience going to look like?
Sure. Well, it would be like a demo, right? So it would be like pretty much all the features of the game without the final level of polish. Uh, Possibly animations might not be on there, and the final artwork might not be on there, but it'll be a fully playable version of the digital game. Not just like moving around board game pieces on a computer screen, you know. So it would be a redesigned game that's fully functional, has all the features built in, but it wouldn't yet be available for people to like plug in and play on it. Probably multiplayer, and yeah, the graphics probably wouldn't be like the final graphics.
Okay. So what you're saying is it would be a playable game that anyone like myself or anyone in Aavegotchi could go over and actually play this game, or would it be limited to like a group at that point?
No, you could probably get on and play, but it wouldn't be multiplayer. You'd probably just be able to
Yeah.
like test out the game and see how everything goes and stuff like that. But yeah, it would just wouldn't have the final features ready for launch. That would be the next phase, where we do multiplayer mode and smart contract stuff so people can connect with their wallets. And then we're gonna have the first guild card sale. And then we immediately go into the release. So the guild card sale will coincide with the release. So it'll be right before the release. So people get their cards, build up their decks, and then the game goes live. And then and then after that, after a while, we would host the first guild tournament, right? So give people a chance to play it for a while, get used to it, like probably like a week, and then immediately host the first guild tournament, which we're excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe you can touch on the guild cards themselves. Like, how's that going to work? Are players going to have to purchase these cards? Like, what are you thinking in terms of like cost? How can someone get in this game? And are there going to be free options for people who just want to try it out? And maybe, um, you know, they maybe not aren't sure what they're looking at. Because I think that is going to be another challenge is when you start selling cards. I think that the buy-in would either have to be low or there'd have to be some sort of free option so that it's not like, the DAO spent 80,000 ghosts and then the cards cost a large, are almost unaffordable. So then we won't get, I mean, I'd really like to see people play this game once it does
Right.
launch and not have like a whole lot of friction to get in there. What are you thinking of pricing? What are you thinking of building these decks? Like, how's this all going to work? In
I
that
mean,
regard?
when it comes to the pricing and stuff like this and the costs, we haven't really like figured out the exact numbers yet. But like you said, it shouldn't cost a lot. It should be like attainable, and people should be able to go in and buy like a couple of these packs and easily build a deck for like, I don't know, like 10, 20 ghosts or something like that. But it shouldn't be that much of a barrier. Of course, if you want to get the good cards, then you're gonna have to spend a little bit more to get some rare stuff.
Right. Hmm.
But there will also be a semi-free option, which is for people already invested in wearables. So it's not really free, but for us, mostly, most people will be able to have like 7 wearables in their wallet, which would be necessary because your deck consists of 7 cards, and those can be replaced by wearables. So if you have 7 wearables in your wallet, then you'll be able to play the game as well. Or if you have 3 guild cards and 4 wearables, then you can also build a deck.
Okay,
And
so
when it
there will
comes
be
to
some. Go ahead,
sorry,
sorry.
yeah, and when it comes to like cost to play, we're thinking that there will definitely be a free mode where you can just go in and play, but the ranked games will cost a little bit of ghosts probably, or alpha or whatever, alchemica, but probably a little bit of ghosts. Like you pay 1 ghost to play a ranked game, and then you get paid out if you win, basically. So sort of like winner takes all. Everybody puts a ghost in, and winner takes all minus like whatever percentages go to the DAO or Pixelcraft or whatever.
So that sounds pretty good. Is there a mode you mentioned, like a kind of a free mode? Like if I just want to play this game and like
unranked. Yeah,
unranked. I don't need any. Do I need like a deck and all that, or can I just like?
You would need a deck. I mean, the way that the game goes is you could leave the deck out, but then you're like at a huge disadvantage to anybody else who does have a deck or has any wearables. So like it could be in a way where the free mode is free, like up to you. You know what I mean? If you want to step in it's like you're going into a gunfight with a knife or something like that. You know what I mean? If you want to step in and play, as long as it's free, I guess it doesn't really matter if you're at a disadvantage.
Like,
yeah.
I'm imagining, is this game's like, I'm kind of, when I look at it, I imagine like Settlers of Catan. And with that, like, you don't need a deck or anything. You just like play the game by the rules and kind of let it flow naturally. Like, is this similar to that, or what's the right model?
The way that I like to describe it is it's a combination of a board game and a card game. So you have your typical board game, and then the card game aspect happens whenever there's a battle, basically. And the main reason for that is to like add a little bit of like randomness to the battle and surprise also, because everybody can see everybody's units on the board, and so you know that the guy next to you's got whatever 5 power and you have 6 power, so you're good. But when you go to battle him, he may play a card with like 4 strength or 5 strength, you know, and you may only have a card of 2 strength left in your hand at that point. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to decide whether you should battle the person or not, you know. But at the same time, you can also see all the cards in the player's hand at any given point. So everybody has their hand of 7. You just don't know which card he's going to play during that battle, unless he only has 1 left in his hand. Then you absolutely know which one he has to play. You know.
Could you have like a mode where the cards, like totally free mode, where the cards just get dealt out to you randomly from like a deck, like an RNG, and they just
you could actually, as long as it was done like under the correct parameters, you could do that, like a random one. Everybody has to have like a certain power of decks. So the highest strength cards are the 4 cards, and the lowest strength are the 0. So everybody has to have 1 4 card, 1 3, and then a couple 2s, a couple 1s, and a 0. So as long as it's distributed that way, then we could actually do something like that where it's random. That's probably a good way to do the free to play.
Yeah.
So, give like a generic deck to the game for the freeloaders, and then I like that actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I just think because the DAO is funding the whole project, there should be some free to play mode. You know, it just sounds strange to be like, you know, we got funding for a wall at the front doors before you can get in. So, you know, it's like freeway. Maybe it doesn't have all the features like you're saying. You know, maybe it's just like you get a feel for the game, you get dealt out some random cards automatically, and you can just play that way. But there's something more. Like if you want a deeper experience, you want to experience the full features of the game, then I totally see there being some sort of paid.
I agree. I like that. Actually, I just wrote a note about that because that's a pretty good idea.
So no, it's looking pretty good here. So this is going to be an ongoing thing after the project is finished. Could you give us a projection for like what you're like? You know, maybe it's a bit early to estimate, but what is going to be? What could you see subsequent proposals? Ask like what sort of funding do you think you need for subsequent proposals to keep this project going? Or do you think this is a one-time thing, and once this is built out, that essentially it'll have a very low kind of run rate? You know, it's not going to cost very much to keep it going. I'm kind of curious.
Well, I mean, we haven't really figured out the exact costs for all the future stuff, and actually that list keeps growing and growing. So like we may have to edit some of these ideas and exchange them with other ones, because we have a lot of big ideas. The last one, which is the biggest, is the creation of another game, essentially, like a light mobile version of this, where it's instead of turn-based, it's a real-time strategy game and it's a quick game. That was one of the issues that kind of like we're iffy about, and still kind of are, is that these games take a long time.
Yeah,
It's not a quick get in, get out type thing. It's a commitment. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
there's something cool about that too, because then you can really do like cool events around the game and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a little bit different than a lot of the games that we've had so far, and we kind of think that's cool and that's a strength in a way. But at the same time, we also want to explore like building a faster game. You know what I mean? Where people can
yeah.
just get in and dink and get out, based around these mechanics and this lore and stuff like that we're doing.
Right on. Yeah, I'm just thinking of like game hosting costs and that sort of thing. Has that been factored in your proposal? Like you have to, you'll probably have to host this game somewhere and probably pay for some servers,
Yeah. That's all
that sort of
factored
thing.
in. Yeah, that's
Okay,
all
good.
factored in.
All
Plus,
right.
like
Uh,
2 months of maintenance after launch as well.
okay, okay, that's good to know. One last question for me, and if anybody has any in the chat, take those questions. I think your initial ask, this is a core prop now, right? Core prop?
No. It's still just a forum
Okay.
thing.
Oh yeah, okay. Somewhere I saw it must have been in the forums there. The initial proposed amount was 50,000 ghosts. Obviously, you've done some calculations since then, and you've come to this number of 87,000. Could you the initial 50,000 and what's been added in that extra 37,000 dollars?
Right. Well, mostly it was just a matter of actually like crunching the numbers and breaking down all the tasks that need to be done and all the different roles that we're going to need to get this done. And yeah, it was just that we didn't really like do that and really like dedicate the time to do that until recently. So we were more focused on other aspects. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything major that was added. Uh, Perhaps the project manager role. That was something that I thought that I was gonna do myself, but then I realized that it was gonna be a lot of work, and I'd be better off focusing on design and stuff like that rather than project management. So I guess that was one of the huge chunks that was added on later on.
Okay. Yeah, no. Does anybody have any questions for Lagan regarding Strategachi here? I think it's a well put together proposal, really great idea, and this game for sure. Anybody
Yeah,
have
I'm just
any other
asking about
questions?
the physical version. Like that's I'd be super excited about a physical version of this.
100%, and that's probably the first thing that we want to get rolling as we like deliver this successful game and everything's good. That's the thing
Okay.
that we really want to get doing, because we already have the like the board game design is complete, right? So we have to do a little bit of like creative imagination right now to turn a board game into a digital game. But once we have the branding and the look and the feel done for the actual game that we're going to design, translating that back to physical will be a piece of cake. So it would be a fun process of just putting all our new designs and our new artwork on the old templates, basically. And I think it's going to look pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Lost Local there, head of physical goods, who Pixelcraft, who also can use his talents to maybe get this into production when the time is right.
Awesome.
I'm reading a comment from Action here. This is neat, but worry it's also even harder to make a captivating board game than a video game. Length and complexity makes it a hard sell to non-board game nerds. Would encourage making it simple, quick, and addictive. So that's definitely. I'm sure it's going to be a good time. Do you guys have you guys factored any sort of marketing into this? Because I know this is going to be maybe not the, it might not be the most simple thing to market to everyday people, and I'm sure you will want, this to be marketed to get a lot of people playing. Have you guys factored any of that into your proposal?
I mean, not really. Besides like artwork for those types of purposes, like promotional materials and stuff, yeah, that's about it. But in terms of like a dedicated marketing manager or somebody who's gonna like, no, we don't have that role right now on the team.
Yeah, I bring it up because we just had a conversation around the Forge, and that was one of the areas of improvement there is the launch was it was confusing for people despite having the information out there. And
Right.
in hindsight, yeah, I think in hindsight that was one area where we could have had maybe a little bit more support, actually marketing the product and making sure people are aware of how to use it, and so you can actually
Yeah.
have a smooth launch. So that might be something to consider there as well. Is
But that's a
there's some
really
sort
good
of
point. Actually, we're thinking about putting out a couple of promo videos right now, initially, to just kind of go over all the everything we talked about right now for the people that aren't here, for the people who missed this. Quick 30-second video like describing the project and then where we're at right now, and then it would be probably beneficial to do that as well for like the actual rules and stuff in the gameplay when the game is launched.
Yeah, I think anything that has depth and complexity. I mean, you do have a community you're trying to build around this game. I think could be a form of support if you get the right people, that have some sort of marketing or media ability. They may be able to get some of these videos together, like you're saying. But definitely make sure, like, that part's covered, especially for something complex like this, where it's going to take some like dissemination to actually get the point across of this product that you're trying to get out there. But yeah, I
Big-
mean, overall, I think it's a great product.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Do we have any last questions here? Otherwise, we can move on. Lagan, I appreciate you taking the time here and kind of
My
going through
pleasure.
this proposal with us. Yeah, I think people are excited about this game, and unfortunately, we weren't able to bring it to Eat Denver, but we got GMI. We're talking about a roadmap for different events that we might want to that might be interesting for the DAO to be a part of this year, and so we definitely like to have Strata.
Oh, lost you there for a second. Hello?
Yeah, I think did we lose him?
I think we lost Hefe.
Yeah. What's maybe it's just in the proposal, but what's the timeline for when you are planning to go have like a live version of this? Digital version?
Well, we're estimating that a time frame of 4 to 6 months for the entire thing, and the digital MVP will be somewhere like somewhere like in between that, right? So like probably like a little bit more than halfway through, however long it ends up taking.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, yeah, we'll definitely. I'm sure you and Golden Cross are already chatting. So when we have more info on Gotchi Chain, definitely would love to see this deployed on Gotchi Chain when it does come out. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait.
Oh yeah, my computer just crashed. Sorry guys, but not really sure why I did that. But it's just restarting. I think we've covered a decent amount here. Go ahead. Sorry, what?
No, I was just joking. I said you missed the most important part. Nothing really happened.
What do we have? Well, I think we have one more thing we can talk about here is a traits-based leaderboard.
Oop, did it crash again?
Did I just take over Hefe's job, guys? Since I'm here.
I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. Pretty quiet week, I think. We do have 3 days away from the most exciting event that's going to happen in the first half of this year. So hope everyone is getting pumped for that. I know we're pumped for it. We're excited. And that proposal that we were just talking about, I think it makes sense to present that as having met quorum, because the vault did vote on that. So we're probably going to push that to core prop in our next batch here, which should be hopefully Monday. Latest would be Tuesday for that one.
Is it a problem with all the voting power going to be on mainnet? Like all the mine's going to be moved over if we do a bunch of core props on Monday?
Well, not quite, because as long as if you voted if you vote before bridging, then your voting power will count. So theoretically, you could do that, or we could wait until after the vote. But I think for the protocol rewards, we were hoping to have that done as a core prop before the Aragon vote, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think there's probably enough ghost voting power out there that would be remaining on Polygon. We can
all
try
the
it.
gotchas and wearables and land are going to help the vote pass.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do a high level of what we're doing from the buyback perspective?
Sure, yeah,
or,
that'd be great.
Just so people can hear it. So part of the SIG prop that just missed quorum, but we're going to push over the edge to core prop, is to implement the automated buyback strategy. So we have 25% of whatever's under the curve is going to go towards protocol rewards. Protocol rewards need to be in Ghost, not in stablecoin. So we need to get our stablecoin into Ghost. So the whole goal here is to have an automated strategy where we purchase Ghost from decentralized liquidity sources with our underlying DAI. And then we can use that for protocol rewards. Rather that if that's like rarity farming or whatever, at least we'll have it. So probably what we're doing, Bearded can speak to it best, but it'll be like multiple times a day automated buybacks through an aggregator. And this will be kind of just fully automated. The DAO Foundation multisig won't have to sign a transaction every time it's purchasing it, but they are the ones that can load it up with more stablecoin, probably monthly or every 2 weeks, not all the stablecoin at once, and then they can also withdraw the Ghost that's purchased and then use that for protocol rewards. So that build itself is what we're asking for funding for. And then that's going to go kind of in parallel with alongside our liquidity plan, which is the Balancer 80/20 plan, which we're still working on securing Balancer token rewards for. And then the Quick Swap liquidity plan, which the announcement for you guys is that we have worked with Quick Swap. We will have the USDC Ghost pool incentivized with Ghost for at least 2-month period to help with this transition. So we're trying to have at least 5 million in liquidity for that. So we will have our current Ghost USDC pool on QuickSwap is going to be getting Ghost incentives for 2 months. Goal APY for that's going to be around 50%. And hopefully we can see kind of people aping into that pool a little bit to get some of that underlying Ghost. I met with ZeroVix team, which is a Polygon native DeFi team when I was in Denver. And we're working on getting the Ghost and VGhost token on them as collateral. And that should help mobilize some liquidity as well, because they'll probably have a vault that's going to be like the USDC Ghost pool vault through ZeroVix. So we're working on partnering with our native DeFi partners to get as much liquidity as possible in this period post curve. So big takeaways: automated buyback strategy, the QuickSwap pool, and the Balancer pool. We're going to have all that done like this week and next, assuming all the core props pass. And then that's just liquidity management. Kind of the second part of the curve transition team is to make some recommendations for treasury management. And we've really just waited and pushed that down the road as far as what we're doing with our extra DAI. But likely we will have some partnership like with Balancer to put a bunch of stable coins on there. earn interest and then be sustainable as a DAO. Because if we have 15 million in there and it can earn 5% on that, that gives us a 750K a year budget to remain budget neutral, and we can fund these things and work within some kind of defined constraints instead of worrying all the time about, do we have enough money to afford this? So it's going to be really exciting to see us use that underlying DAI in a healthy way for our ecosystem instead of just to cushion price action.
How much of the DAO Treasury Ghost is going to be allocated for the balancer pool again? It's 80-20, right? So is it like 3 million?
Yeah, at current prices, it's like 2.7 million Ghost.
Okay.
And that's going to be one of the things we kind of have to figure out later. Is like, are we going to leave that in there forever? Are we going to transition from the 80-20 pool to a 50-50 pool? Are we like buying Ghost from ourselves with the 25% allocated towards liquidity? So a couple questions up in the air, but that is the plan, is to use Treasury Ghost, about 2.5 million worth, partner that with 1 million DAI, and that's going to be the 80-20 pool.
Yeah, because the balancer grant, I think they like supporting 80-20 pools mostly, right? So we'll probably want to keep it at that if we can apply for the grant.
Correct. Yeah, and it's a fair bit of BAL token incentives, and I'm guessing that most people are going to be attracted to them 50-50 pool on QuickSwap, and that most of the rewards from Balancer would go towards the DAO, and that's pretty exciting. And there's some things we can talk about later. Hopefully we can get a core team that manages liquidity and treasury, but to increase the BAL rewards, or at least to sustain them, we can bribe BAL token holders. And if we have the infrastructure or a team to kind of help with that bribe process, we can use interest earned from our stablecoins to bribe BAL token holders to get more BAL token for the 80-20 pool, and kind of have some sort of flywheel effect that hopefully makes financial sense, but could sustain the treasury in a strong way. But kind of look forward to proposal and outline on that in the future, because I know that's not all of us are DeFi natives, and bribing sounds like an evil thing to do, but it's just, that's how the space works.
I wish someone would come up with a better name than bribing. Like,
I mean, it's what it is. It's at least it's honest, but
it's very honest. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we'll get all that done this week. It's going to be an exciting week, and before the curve, maybe we can talk about this in the group with about what we're trying to get done before the curve turns off. Definitely needs to be done before the vote begins on Aragon. Would that be the balancer, or would that be the QuickSwap, or both?
Just two things. So we need that 80-20 pool in place. So that Treasury Ghost and matching DAI for the 80-20 pool, and then the Ghost from the Treasury for the QuickSwap incentives. I'm not sure like where we need to send that, or if it's to like a centralized QuickSwap, or like just if we manage it. But that's the other thing we need to figure out.
Okay. Cool. While we're talking about liquidity, I'm just curious what do you guys think of funding market makers on exchanges? Is that something the DAO has interest in doing, or would prefer to just put funds on DEXs? Exchanges we're talking about, like Binance, Coinbase, OKX, KuCoin, whatever, like various centralized exchanges.
Have you guys done this with your Ghost at all, and can speak to it? I think most of us in the curve transition team are not familiar with the process beyond knowing it exists.
Yeah, it really depends on which market maker you're working with. Generally, what they do is they will have like a loan agreement with the provider, which would be the DAO or us, and that loan agreement will be for a period of time, and they'll have an option to buy back the Ghost at a certain price. It's called the strike price. So generally, they will look at when you create the loan agreement, they'll look at the like 14-day moving average or 30-day moving average of your token, and then depending on their style, some of them will quote a price lower than the 30-day moving average. Some will give you a price higher than the 30-day moving average, and then basically they over the next period of time they will provide liquidity on various exchanges for you, and at the end of the period they have the option, if they want to buy the ghost at whatever the strike price is. That's typically TLDR summary of how these relationships work.
So they are like buying a call, essentially. That makes me pretty nervous as we're about to enter some price discovery to give a centralized entity an option on our ghost token.
Yeah, so doing it, it's not ideal probably for the phase that we're about to enter. But once this kind of volatility settles down, maybe it could be an interesting option, because we do there is a lot of trading happening on these exchanges, and that there are people out there that will look at your token, they'll just look at it and say, oh, you don't have any you don't have any liquidity or volume on major exchanges. That's a red flag. I'm just not going to look at your token. So just food for thought at some point. If we might have a deeper conversation on that with the DAO, if you guys think we might be interested in helping with that.
Yeah, I really do think that can make sense. I think we're, from the curve transition team standpoint, we're kind of thinking of this like 2-month discovery period. That's kind of what the quick swap rewards pool is set up at. That's when we're thinking we should readdress like our 80-20 allocation. So it could make sense to take some of our 80-20 out and then use that underlying ghost with a centralized market maker. So we can look into that, or I guess whatever core team takes over liquidity and treasury can investigate a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, yeah, it's going to be an exciting week. And there's also the previous proposal, and that did reach core prop, of funding the Alchemica ghost pairs. Now that we have the multi-sig set up, I think it'd be a good time to get those funded as well. So we might also send over some ghost and Alchemica from the DAO as well to get those funded, if we have enough Alchemica. We'll see what the DAO currently has.
Is that multi-sig officially set up, running, confirmed? Like there's an address and everything?
Yep. They've set up 4 multi-sigs total. And I think that, 6 multi-sigs total. 3 on Polygon and 3 on Ethereum. And on Polygon and Ethereum, you have the DAO Treasury multi-sig, you have the liquidity multi-sig, and you have the protocol rewards multi-sig. So they're just separated concerns. Most of the transactions will be happening on Polygon, but we just figure we might as well get them all set up. So we have a total of 6 multi-sigs for the foundation. And each of those is 5 of the 9 signers required to execute.
Awesome. Quick feedback from you or community. So we have all the alloy going to the DAO, currently going to the DTF multi-sig, which is largely deprecated. It'd be nice to update that. So we are probably sending it to not the DTF, one of the DAO Foundation multi-sigs. Do you guys feel like that needs a signal proposal to do, or is that fine to just choose one of these new ones and send it over there to the DAO Treasury?
I think it's fine. Really, we should be updating all of the contracts now to start directing like things from the bazaar and all these various micropayments into the new wallets. So everything is just visible and transparent there.
All right, so I'm hearing no prop needed. It's kind of assumed that all this needs to go that direction. Is there a place that these 4 wallets are posted so I can like follow them?
Yeah, I don't think they've been posted at Maury he's been setting all them up, and we can get let's see. I get the addresses here. We'll post these somewhere more permanent. But for now, here's all the wallets. Sec. So you can see we have DAO Foundation multisigs, Ethereum, Treasury, liquidity, and rewards. Matic, Treasury, liquidity, and rewards. Can't pin messages here, but I'll drop this in the DAO discussion as well, so we can pin it.
Put on future docket for us. It'd be nice to kind of discuss plan for wearables moving forward and new schematics. I know that's a burden on the Pixelcraft team with kind of how you guys have decided to implement Gotchiverse mechanics for wearables, trying to have every wearable have a unique experience or unique traits. And I don't want to like have things on a Forge roadmap that promise like, you know, community created wearables, like new designs, like a set, you know, drops of new sets. But I think that's something we need to meet on before like the Forge team promising kind of next steps.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely we need to go over that. If that maybe there's a better way to not having every wearable be unique. But even if we don't even talk about the wearables themselves, we do kind of feel like all the sets are kind of part of the lore as well. So if a new set is created at some point, it probably will be added to the lore as well, just because it's part of the ecosystem. So we want to have a fairly high bar for the new wearables that do get added. We don't want to just open it up to like everything. We still need to maintain a high standard for all the official content.
And I don't think anyone would argue otherwise. For that, I think there's a couple of paths forward, like full wearables versus kind of like a wearable skin strategy, where you could like still allow an opportunity for community design. Because getting feedback from the community that the number one thing requested is like community developed wearables. Like people want to design that, and you know, we talked a little bit about non-BRS modifying wearables or vanity wearables. Is that the path, or is it like skins for current wearables and allowing that where you're actually not having a new wearable at all as far as Gotchiverse implementation, but it's just community designed skin to like go on top of or to allow that development. So I think that's something we're interested in pursuing and look forward to kind of an updated prop from the Forge team over the next week to address that. Backgrounds, refilling the geodes. From a UX perspective, I think we want to port the dressing room over to be kind of native, so you can dress up your Gotchi and have one-click purchasing of the items or one-click forging. And I think we're also willing to take on the respec potion airdrop and code execution too. So trying to pack up as much feedback as we got into high value for the DAO is what the Forge is hoping to do, and ideally get that in front of the DAO soon.
Cool. Yeah, the geode, because I remember there was I think it was it a sig prop? Did we need to upgrade that to core prop, or was that already funded somewhere? Because I remember there was like a separate ask for the geodes.
Yep. Yeah. So that was rolled into large core prop and has already been paid. Thanks to Jesse for that. Just full transparency for the community. Our goal for our geodes is to get the geodes functioning so we can get those legendary schematics available. There's still like 35% or 30% estimated that are winnable. So we should be okay. But I do not think we will develop like the full multi-tier rarity geode without further funding, but that would be on the DAO to take on if they wanted it.
Got it.
Yo, test, test. Can you guys hear me up here? Am I coming through now?
There he is.
Nice. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. I thought I was just getting cut off. I'm like, why? Like, what is going on here? But we're good. I wanted to take a quick minute before we end our call here and just speak on our Ethereum Denver trip, looking back. Maybe if I could get Mike Callum, if you could come up on stage and we could just kind of do a post-mortem on the initial funding, talk about how far it went and kind of what we're thinking in terms of a budget extension. I think people were quite impressed with what we're able to do as GMI. We came together, we're able to coordinate, and I think we delivered on a really high level. We're being talked about at Eat Denver here. People are talking about us now, and it's really cool to see that. Got my Callum up here on stage. Welcome, welcome. GM.
Hey, GM. Still down here in the basement trying to pack everything. Coming through clear enough?
Yeah. I know you guys are on the move. You're packing up. We're kind of getting ready to leave here pretty soon. But we sat down last night. We kind of went through the budget. Maybe we can speak to the budget, how far it went. Who did we get on board? Because I think our team increased significantly while we were here at Gotchi Lodge. Took a few folks under our wing. Maybe we can speak to some of that.
For sure. So the initial budget, there were 6 core members on that proposal in terms of anticipated travel expenses, compensation, and activation. We ended up arriving with Natasha was a bonus for us, and then we picked up T-Bird and Musashi along the way. Contact ended up being able to drop in. We had friends like Grim stepping up, and then also like User Default. All of those individuals ended up stepping up at some point in time and doing contributions, whether it was manning the table, helping with photo and media support on No Futuristic, transport, driving people around town. There's lots of demands that came up that I will say we were very unaware about the anticipated demands and burdens. Something we've discovered, at least this week, is that I'm the miser of the group. I'm definitely the cheap one, and definitely the one that's always trying to maximize the efficiency of the budget. And happily will put 12 of us in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom and tell everyone to suck it up and deal with it. So I actually appreciate No Futuristic and Hefe quite a bit. Those guys have been helping me have some balance and some just perspective on the whole thing. When Hefe initially told me 12 G's for this whole thing, I told him it was crazy. It was a fight we didn't want to get into. It wasn't worth the squeeze there for that big of an ask. And he was completely correct, and he was right about it being not enough. And so we're definitely blown over on budget. Talking with Wagner and good with other peers, definitely sentiment of that recognition and the execution of what we did versus what we already have on hand, just being quite honestly the deal of a lifetime. So we're still working through the budget specifics. We got most of the expenses logged last night, and we're looking at a situation of being able to demonstrate what was initially asked for, how that was mobilized, what we could have asked for at the same exact rates given the known expansion of the team and the additional demands, and then also another budget that would be comparable or comparison work, say, considered to market rates for videographers or standard rates for Teamsters, or talking with Lost Local about what event staff would cost, things like that. So it'll be kind of like a comparative chart of what we thought we were going to spend, what we actually did end up spending, what we're already spent against, and then what this would have cost if it was a retail effort in general. So we can see the value of the discount, quite honestly, that my team has been able to provide for the Denver coverage. So nothing to present today in hard numbers, but that's what we're looking at. And there's definitely an overage to discuss, but I think it was well mobilized, and I think will be well understood, explained, and supported in terms of the budget expansion request that's incoming.
Yeah, and looking back at this as an experiment, because really that's the way we had framed this when we first put it out there, is even in speaking to the budget that we created was very experimental. Looking back, where do you see there being maybe gaps in the budget, things we might have overlooked that we're like, oh shit, we should have actually been we should have had some money allocated for this. If I could think of one right now, it'd be manning the booth. That was a lot of work. Manning the booth, getting
Yeah.
people meeting there, and having continuous social interaction for like 8 to 10 hours was that was exhausting.
Yeah, no, for sure on that one. I could have definitely benefited from another driver at one point in time. There was a couple of days where it got a little bit stressful trying to keep all the troops organized and balance. We did not have a lot of Ubers. We did not have a lot of third-party travel expenses, so we did well with what we had. But there was a couple of moments there where it would have been nice to have one more driver, one more team that could have split up. The other thing, and I mentioned this earlier in regards to the Bin Laden proposal, something we've been discussing is dynamic rates, and so we are being very idealistic in these proposals, which is good. And I appreciate it. It's looking clean. But the reality is, if we were to repeat this again, there could probably be some more refinement in the actual compensation rates of the individuals, and maybe some identification of some leads, some sub leads, and then some crew designations. It's kind of the first 3-tier roles that we saw, because it was not a circumstance where everybody's skill sets honestly delivered the same output. And so I appreciate everybody's work and everybody's contributions, and it's fantastic. But hanging out at the table for 3 hours of booth coverage, which is futuristic, going around the floor with the crew and capturing all the interviews, I'm perfectly comfortable defending the dynamics of those two rate differentials. So I think we could have been maybe a little more capital efficient in this idea of a flat rate across all participators. Yeah, exactly, Thorax. Exactly correct. Yeah, the flat rate there is just a little bit overly idealistic, and when the rubber hits the road, it just doesn't look as pretty as it sounds. And so I would be a big advocate for dynamics in the rate hearings and being a little more capital efficient.
Well said. Yeah, I think in hindsight, the experiment was successful, but the budget needs to be adjusted to reflect what was delivered, I think. And so we'll definitely be putting something together there, hard numbers, more specifics around that. And also, I think, I'd like to know what DAO feels about how the DAO feels about this, but I think this has started a larger conversation about having some more, having a louder presence at these events and having some sort of DAO funded roadmap for event attendance over the year. I think that's something we're definitely interested in putting together. It was really amazing to meet like OGs in the space, the Web3 crew, Meta Cartel, and talking to those guys who've been around for a very long time, and seeing this sort of recognition that we were getting from them was really incredible. I mean, the way they described it was Aavegotchi is like this really big brained engineers that have created this amazing product, but the culture has been like hidden away for the most part. I
Oh,
think that's yeah, go ahead.
two things I want to say on that point, because you're dead on the money. And so one is that this effort, this team that came to East Denver's time, was not explicitly a media team. It wasn't explicitly a marketing team. It very much was an everything team. It's just a presence team. And so there was business development discussions happening. There was leads being followed. There was pitches being made. It felt very multifaceted. It did not feel like all of us were explicitly concerned about utilizing cameras to capture footage. Some of us were very, very focused on that, and that was their priority. Others of us had a really great job of just meeting some of the most influential people in our space as they were here. I talked to Kevin Aavegotchi last night for a long time at the Meta Cartel party. That was fantastic. It's really nice to have these entities become known friends inside the space. And then for me, a big takeaway, a big retro, and we'll suss all this out and get some good docs out there, and maybe just like some looms, so I can kind of brain dump on y'all and just leave a lot of intel. But huge shout out and just total legacy honor to MSG, Musashi and T-Bird, Chair, and those early pioneers.
Yeah.
Those guys are, so it's funny. I was laughing last night with smoke screens and just joking around that I'm going to come back to the DAO and say, hey, listen, so y'all sent us there to find devs. Turns out we had them all along. These guys have such a depth network of real, true talent that is passionate about the space, understands technicalities, and is committed to doing good product for good work. And I feel like we've totally missed the boat on this and not realized the dev base that we have, like in our own backyard. Musashi was showing me some videos that he and T-Bird, like, and Chair produced 2 years ago for Aavegotchi. And they're memey, they're dripping in culture, and they probably played them to a room of 0 because they were just too damn early. And so these guys are really, really refined in their expertise in this. And talking with Musashi this whole week, it has really, I know, you're right, Hardcore. Like, Musashi has never quit, like, in his commitment to coordination tooling and organizational efficiency. And so that's on us as a community. And so I'm thrilled that we were able to share this week with those members and bridge that class gap and bridge that difference time gap on entry. And I think that maybe we're going to be able to activate some true resources that were a lot closer to home than we ever realized.
Well said. Well said. There's something to say about getting to know the crew that we're already familiar with. Also, plenty of that happened this week. So yeah, we'll continue to get things together here. We'll have a proposal out there soon, and we appreciate the support from the DAO getting us there. I think we've also set precedents amongst other projects who have dealt with similar issues. They also to justify to their DAO why showing their community, having IRL community presence was important. And they also had to go through the same process we did to get some funding. So we're setting some precedents here about having DAO funded IRL presence.
Well, and let me just make one more comment, and then I'll hush up, and we can have the rest of it here too, right? Because that's exactly correct. There, Coder Dan is Musashi was just early. He was. I mean, he's talking to us about metagame tooling that we can implement like tomorrow night in GMI. We can utilize it. The people are there. They're just committed, and they're quiet. They keep their heads down, and they're in the caves, and so they're hard to access. But turns out we actually did find them. It's just ironic that they were insurgency the whole time they've been here. The other thing I want to do, just in that same breath, that same exact vibe of the hidden talent hiding right in front of us, Light Piglet is probably one of my new favorite Gotchi Gang members of all time. This guy blows me away. I am already ready to defer to their research. I am taking pointers and advice from this individual. Their desire to find truth and seek knowledge independent of opinions and bias, and report accurately, is bar none. It is fantastically refreshing to talk to people that have strong opinions because they've done the research. And so we have the resources and the talent inside of this community to scale to our next level that we're looking for. We don't need additional people. We need enhanced internal refinement. So that's gonna be what I'm working on here lately, and that's gonna be what GMI is working on lately, is finding all of these gems and making sure that we're realizing the value that we've already aggregated.
Yeah, I'll just cap that with we made some solid friends here in Denver. Some really solid friends, both Gotchi Gang that we were half familiar with before, and some new ones that have come out of the woodwork. Shout out to Light Piglet that are our network here in Denver. And so we'll be more set up than ever for the next coming conferences. And we're just excited to have a IRL GMI presence representing Aavegotchi DAO. So appreciate you guys also for supporting us. Yeah, I see Dr. Wagme shouting a Rogue Panda also as well, who's also on the quest to find a path to build and contribute in our community. So we do want to. Our aim is to empower these individuals here and get them to the forefront. Absolutely. Okay, so I mean that's all we got for today here. Anybody else up here? Any last words, questions, comments, concerns?
Hey, can I just talk about the Alchemica task force quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Sure. So I was late onto the call today, so I don't know if you've already kind of talked about it. But basically, so a couple of weeks ago, I put out an application form to try and form this task force. I was looking for 8 people, and we actually got 10 really good applications come back. So we decided to go ahead with 10, and we've got like a really diverse set of members with, different types of holdings, different viewpoints on some key issues, and that was kind of one of the things we were really aiming for. Like a lot of SIG props and economic based ideas that come out, a lot of people don't like it coming from individuals, because there's always the question of are people doing this for their own holdings, or the incentives are always questioned, basically. So the idea of this task force was to try and get a diverse set of members to be able to create these SIG props and generate ideas, to kind of avoid that any kind of conflicts that come out from individuals doing it. So we've got a set of 10 members now, and we've agreed on a set of projects to start focusing on. So the initial ones were, let me just get them up here. So yeah, the initial ones were kinship channeling, some glitter emissions research, glitter raffles, guild and district tokenomics, and some other sync ideation. So we're going to split. So we've got 10 members. So we're going to split into kind of teams of between 1 and 3 people to focus on these issues to begin with. And I'm going to raise a SIG prop this afternoon to get a bit of funding for us. So the funding was for 5 hours per week per member. So between 10 of us, we're basically looking to fund up to 50 hours every week being spent on research and idea generation, basically. So I think it comes out at for 4 weeks it will be 5,000 ghosts, which I think is a really, really good investment for the DAO to make sure we're kind of moving things forward, because there's a lot of these projects that we've been talking about for ages, but no one is kind of like compensated or held accountable to move them forward. So they kind of just sit there. Things like glitter raffles, kinship channeling, they kind of just sit there and don't get progressed. So the idea is that we can keep people accountable with this funding, and make sure they're compensated for a few hours a week to keep things moving forward. So yeah, I'm going to raise a SIG prop this afternoon. So if you guys can all have a look at that, give us any feedback, and obviously vote for us if you believe in what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Wagme. Who do we view as the execution layer? I guess it depends on what the feature would be, but yeah, I'm also curious about that.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, to this up to now, I guess it has usually been PC, but it's fully up for the DAO to decide. I guess if we want to make some of them be executed by, I don't know, Forge team or any other developers that we've got on the DAO, I guess we can just take it on a case-by-case basis.
That makes sense. I think there's probably going to be some bandwidth from the Forge team perspective. My job is to keep everyone busy all the time, right? But like from the glitter raffle ticket perspective, this was Oliver's initial idea and prop, and I think that's something we'd be willing to like push through and do as much of the work as possible from the DAO perspective, and have a clean handoff with Pixelcraft to implement. And I know Pixelcraft just has their hands so full. It'd be really nice for us to step up and execute as much as possible.
Yeah, 100%. I'll drop the. So we've got a Discord server, so I'll drop that in the chat now. And everything we're doing is all kind of like out in the open, so anyone can here contribute and give feedback on anything we're working on. We're going to start, once we kind of really get going, we'll start doing a weekly call as well. We haven't decided what time that's going to be, but I think we've got no futuristic to kind of, he's hopefully going to be making some summary videos each week, so everyone can kind of keep up to date with what we're working on.
Nice. Very cool. What would you say is like one thing that a lot of the members are most excited about doing research on?
I think glitter is the most like popular one at the moment. Just because I think there hasn't been kind of too much work done on it at the moment. I think a lot of focus has been on Alchemica.
Mhm.
But I think because it's such a important token in terms of like liquidity, rewards, and everything else, I think it's going to, and you know, with Ghost going off the curve, there's going to be some more volatility, permanent loss for the liquidity pools. So I think everyone's a little bit concerned about glitter at the moment, especially in terms of like the emissions compared to the sinks. So that's been a really popular one. And we've actually got, so that's the one we've got 3 people working on, Maxi Crouton, Webb and Umami working on that. And I think that's the only project with 3. All the other ones have got 1 to 2. So that definitely seems like the most popular project we've got going on at the moment.
Cool. What about, you mentioned the kinship channeling? Is that referring to channeling costing kinship?
Yeah,
Or is it something
exactly. So I think there's been like forum threads on it, and we've done loads of discussion. There's even been a lot of research. I think Gotchinomics did some really nice graphs showing the potential effect for different amount of gotchis kind of stopping channeling based on kinship costs. So we kind of, it's just one of those projects almost there, but then, you know, no one to kind of get it over the line. So we're going to discuss it a little bit more, but I think it's pretty close. So we're going to discuss what a SIG prop would look like in terms of if we're raising one, what the options would be, and just kind of iron out the last mechanics of it, really.
Great. It was so close to passing that first time, but it just had a couple flaws, I think. I think it's a really interesting proposal. Just the fact that it introduces a big choice, kind of a two-way choice for players. Makes for a really interesting game theory. So I definitely look forward to that one coming across.
Yeah, for sure. I think the only thing that's feels like it might be missing from it at the moment is the kind of what is the reward of saving kinship, because obviously the reward for high kinship in Gotchiverse at the moment is you get more yield from channeling, right? But then if you've made the decision to stop channeling, that's kind of irrelevant now. So if there was something else, like something in combat or some other kind of benefit to keeping it in the Gotchiverse, I think a lot more people would vote for it. So I don't know if you've had any thoughts about that, Dan.
I think there was a proposal a while back where we talked about high kinship having some form of benefit in the Gotchiverse. I think maybe it was arena based or some other area in the Gotchiverse. So not necessarily a direct 1-to-1 high kinship equals more rewards, but basically some form of power up in the Gotchiverse. So that could be one angle to explore.
Yeah, I think something like that will be really interesting and make it a more like a closer decision for a lot more people, because I think the research we did so far was based on the fact, like purely from a yield perspective. So if you look at it in terms of what your rarity farming rewards would be, it was kind of balancing that off compared to channeling. So I think we assumed that only like the top, I think it was 1,000 kinship gotchis were going to stop purely from an EV point of view and like a dollar yield point of view. But because of that, it seemed as though we needed to make the kinship cost quite high. I think we were looking at making it cost 4 kinship per channel. But if there was another reason to stop other than just yield, then I think we could make the kinship cost lower. and more people would stop channeling then.
Yeah, is that conversation on the use case of kinship in the scope of what you guys will be discussing, or do we need to have some wider discussions on that?
Well, it depends if we because obviously we don't need that for a sig prop, like, because it kind of does work with or without. But like I said, right now it would be purely based on yield. But so I mean, maybe we could start with that, because maybe we could just start it from that perspective. But then later on, we could start kind of generating ideas for a separate kinship benefit. Like one idea that I think it might have been that mentioned it a while ago was kind of like in the arena, like whether your gotchi kind of obeyed you or not.
Mm-hmm.
It was like if it has low kinship, then it's more likely to kind of not do what you want it to do. Kind of like with like Pokemon, how
Yeah.
how if it's too high level, it won't obey you. Kind of something like that. That could be kind of interesting, like a backfire or something for low kinship. But
I guess for low kinship, it's we have to define what low is, right? Because it's always kind of changing as the majority of the cohort goes up and up and up. Low, I mean, most people don't have like a negative 50 below 50 kinship gotchi anymore. So it's the kind of, we also had that idea of like a recalcitrant mule kind of idea that the gotchi you'd tell it to walk in one way and it would go another way. Honestly, I think people would just view that as a bug. They'd be like, why is my thing not doing what I told it to? I don't know if it'd be fun gameplay, but it is a fun idea to kind of think about. The same idea of like Pokemon, where like Charizard just kind of ignores Ash, is really funny.
Yeah, so I think there is things we explore. I'm kind of hesitant to lay this to because that process could go on for a long time, right? Think about we still haven't decided what eyes do. So it could just turn into another one of those where a year later we're still kind of like trying to think of it. So but maybe we do the SIGPROP kind of without that, and so it's just kind of yield based for now. But well, I don't know. Maybe if people know that we're planning to come up with another benefit to kinship, then that's people can factor that into their decision whether to channel or not, right?
Yeah, I think we can continue brainstorming around that. For me personally, I gotta probably get going here. Our Airbnb, we're gonna have to give that up here pretty soon. So, I mean, with that being said, do we have any last closing comments before we end off here for today?
One thing we didn't get to, which is fine, we can talk about next week, and maybe this relates to the Forge team, was just a general discussion of the beginnings of the handoff of the smart contracts over to the DAO. We are entering kind of the last month of Q1, and that's a process we would love to start moving on in Q2 and possibly end in Q3. So just going through the nitty gritty of that process will definitely would probably be a good call. So maybe next week, maybe the week after.
Yeah.
I think we should start having that conversation pretty soon. And since it seems like the Forge is ready to work, the Forge team wants to work, wants to do things to help the protocol, that might be something that they could include in their roadmap.
Is there a thread we can point people to currently if we're to get this conversation going?
Not at the moment. We can if someone wants to spin that up today, I'm about to sign off, or we could start talking about that next week.
Yeah, let's just table it for next week. We'll kick it off and have a discussion then.
Cool.
All right. With that being said, we're gonna head out here. There's an amazing 2 weeks here in Denver, getting to know everybody and just killing it at the conference. We'll see y'all tomorrow. GM with GMI every morning at 3 p.m. UTC. GMI crew. We're just talking about our day, share some GMs, and that'll be tomorrow morning, Monday to Friday, and then we also have our Wednesday Twitter Spaces as well with Golden Cross on Twitter. So check us out. If we don't see you, we'll see you next Friday or Saturday. One of our, there's something every day happening for Gotcha Game at this point. So you definitely want to tune in. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Dr. Wabney starting a new space. Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun. Last parting note. I think I'm going to partner with No Futuristic to get a prop up for a DAO funded and DAO run like social media marketing strategy over the next month or two to reward community creating content, like being on Twitter, making a lot of noise. It's a very big month or two for us, and it'd be nice to see the DAO kind of design something and incentivize that engagement. So look forward to a prop from that. And I'm hoping to hand that over to No Future to run, but it'll be fun, like competition based. Get a lot of impressions and get paid in Ghost for shilling Aavegotchi, basically.
Cool. All right, friends. Yeah, have a great Sunday, and see you guys next week. And if you haven't already, bridge that Ghost over to Ethereum. Get that XP bag for your gotchis.
Later, yo.
Later, friends.
Gotcha Gang.